Hi everyone and welcome to Shelf Starters. I'm Kate and this is Rosie. Today we're really excited to be announcing our challenge, which is to read the Norton's Anthology. And we're working our way... Pardon?
The Norton Anthology of English Literature.
Yes,
so we came up with this idea on a run together, which is how we come up with quite a lot of our ideas. And it's actually what inspired us to even start a channel in the first place, because we identified that we had these gaps in our reading of the English canon, particularly from the earlier parts of it, I think. So the Middle Ages and that sort of time period, we never really touched on too much at school. So want to read more about that. So what we're going to be doing is starting from the Middle Ages, working our way through the works that are listed in this anthology. And then eventually, I mean, this is going to take us several years probably, but then going into this one, which is the 16th century and early 17th century, all the way up to 18th century. So those are just volumes A, B, and C of the Norton Anthology of English Literature. There are also D, E, and F that goes all the way up to the 21st century, I think. But you know, it's going to take us so long to get there that I reckon they'll have whole new editions by the time we get to those. So we'll just start with these three.
Rosie, who doesn't love a Norton, let's face it.
Yeah, well, some people might not know what the Norton is. So if you have never heard of the Norton Anthology before, it's often used by English students at universities as kind of like their Bible to guide their reading throughout their studies. So it includes extracts from major works of literature throughout the canon, as well as introductory kind of information about the time period and the themes and focuses of the various authors, and how the language and trends in literature have developed over time, which is something I really
interested. Those things have developed hand in hand, and it traces that. It gives you timeline, physical timeline, maps.
Images as well. So in our editions, we've got coloured plates in the middle as well, which is really great for situating you in that time period.
Absolutely, it does. It immerses you right in.
We knew that we wanted to read more of the English canon and challenge ourselves to expand our understanding of what classics are in English literature. So had this idea to read it, and then thought, well, why not film ourselves as we go along, and sort of record our journey, I guess, through YouTube. So this is actually what's inspired this entire channel. And when we came up with this idea, I wanted to check if anyone else on YouTube had done anything similar. So I did a quick search of the Norton Anthology, and I actually found Matthew from Maybury Book Club, who I'll link down below. He has read extracts of the Norton Anthology over time. I don't believe he's done any kind of like structured challenge to himself or anything like that, but he gives some great insights on in general. It's been a pleasure of actually going through his channel and watching all of his other videos as well. He's really, really into classics. And he gives really good insights on his thoughts about the works that he's reading. He lives in a tiny house with his cats, so it's always very fun seeing what he's up to and hearing from him. So yeah, definitely check him out if you get a chance.
We can't offer cats, but we can offer running tracks.
We can't offer cats. We don't have any cats here.
We have some great scenery, both in Sydney and London.
Yeah, some different.
We can offer some of that, perhaps.
We can try. Mum wanted to talk a bit about what we've already read in the preface, and that kind of underline why we're so interested in reading these.
I absolutely love the preface. It talks about the power of great literature to reach across time and space, which is, in fact, obviously what we're doing.
Reaching across time zones.
Absolutely. So on a personal level, Rosie and I are doing that, and with one another between Australia and England. But of course, we're all doing it. Whenever we pick up a book, we're all reaching across time zones. It also talks about the quiet focus required for savouring good works of literature, and I think we've all come to appreciate that perhaps more than ever over the past year. And Rosie, certainly, she's been in quarantine twice now.
Quarantine twice, lockdown for half a year. Yeah.
So she's really had the quiet focus. But I think probably the line I love the most from the preface is this one. It is deeply rewarding to enter the sensibility of a different place, to hear a new voice, to be touched by an unfamiliar era. And it then goes on to say that it is good for us all to escape the narrow boundaries of our immediate preoccupations and to respond with empathy to lives other than our own. If there was ever a time where I think that is more needed, it would be now. And I hope that we're all reminded of that when we read.
How do you think we're going to approach this, Mum? Do you want to talk a bit about what we're going to be doing, how often we're going to be doing it, how we're going to structure our challenge?
So I guess what we are doing is, obviously we're on other sides of the world and we have very different hours from one another. So we're going to set up what the reading will be over the next week, and we'll then both go off and independently read, and then we'll come back to talk about our response to what we've read. And I guess that will involve, I mean, the early pieces are quite short, actually.
So it'll be quite easy. So I think as we get through to the larger works later, when we get to the full novels and things like that, we won't have to read. Yeah, it's not like we're going to have to read it all in a week and then check back in.
No,
but maybe
we'll be finding the quiet time where we can read that volume, that much. So for now, we're starting small.
Yeah, and I think just regular check-ins, even if we haven't finished the work, will be good, so we can discuss what we're thinking of it at the time. And invite you all to join in on the discussion as well, so that you can read along with us if you'd like. So I guess it's kind of like a buddy read situation, where it's like a book club.
Yeah,
but book club for the great works of the English canon.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is going to be interesting for me is I do have a lot of time to read, especially on weekends at the moment with lockdown. So what I'm going to do is probably read beyond this as well. So I'm going to treat this as a guide, a starting point for my reading. And then if there's an author I find in here that I like, because mostly these are just extracts as well, they're not the complete work. If there's something that I'm interested in, I'm going to try to go out and find the full version and read more widely from that author as well. So I'll be filling in the gaps a little bit with some of my reading. And I think what I'll do is just let you know, Mum, like we can maybe check in if there's anything that I think is particularly interesting from the extra bits that I've read. I'll share that with you along the way as well. And I think the big key for us is we should take our time with this. We've got a lifetime ahead of us.
Savor it.
Yeah, got to savor it. There's big rush through it.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing is we want to be thinking about what we're reading as well. So we don't want to be rushing through too much.
No, and have time it will stem to other reading naturally.
Yes, yeah. This can't be all of our reading.
No, there will be pieces of history that we'll segue towards and we'll want to find out more about. So I imagine it's going to be.
So we're treating it as a guide more than anything else.
It's a guide, and then we'll branch out. Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right, so what I really want to know from anyone who might be watching this right now is, have you read this before, or do you have a copy of these hidden away, used as a door stopper, something like that from your university days? If you have any experience with the anthology, do you have any recommendations for us as to how we should best approach it? Any tips and suggestions we'd really appreciate. Otherwise, also very interested to hear if anyone's keen in joining along. Our very first poem, which we'll be discussing next week, is Caedmon's Hymn, which was featured in a history work by Bede. And is, I believe, the very earliest piece of poetry that we have from the Anglo-Saxon period. So we'll be starting there. Hopefully some of you will be interested in joining along with us. All right, very excited to get started.
We need to get reading.
Yeah, let's get reading. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. See you again soon. Bye.